Hello, everyone, and welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Sol, and I got Colin here with me, my magic to my Kareem. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm fantastic. I'm ready to talk about this fantastic show. It means basketball season starts like 2 months earlier in my brain. So this is a nice little holdover until we get to actual basketball.
Starting off with some opening thoughts. For me, like season one, the way they're doing the storytelling in the show, like changing the ratio of the camera, going from like the fuzzy, grainy footage to like the way that they're switching is just so good. And on top of that, phenomenal acting, great music choices, telling a compelling story to like a story that basketball fans like you and I already know, but it's still like, okay, what's happening next? How are you going to tell this story next? Your opening thoughts. You can throw in some on season one and just how you feel about these first two episodes.
I think season one is kind of like a return to form for HBO in terms of a completely new way to approach a subject at you, much like Succession or Game of Thrones. Winning Time is, in my opinion, like up there in sports dramas of all time right now, just in the way that it's structured, the way that like you spoke on the camera movements and the camera choices, and it is a Hollywood dramatization of real life events, and it's how you remember it, but like it's not how you remember it. It's giving you a bit more insight that gives you Jerry West talking to a statue of Jerry West and throwing Jerry West into the trash can. It's like one of my favorite TV moments of the past few years. They just continue it in season two. Season two is right back in it. I really thought a time jump was possible, and a time jump did indeed occur. Uh, Light spoilers, but Celtics and Lakers don't play in the finals until the first seed of this second season, which is the 1984 season, and it immediately takes us back. So hopefully over season two, we're going to cover everything from the 80-81 season to the
Yeah.
83-84 season. And so that's 4 seasons that we're going to cover in this. There's going to be people moving. There's going to be people that get fired. There's going to be people who lose their job. There's going to be people that get promoted. There's going to be a bunch of stuff that goes on in this. Obviously, we're gonna spoil history, I think, here.
Yeah.
Like, it's very hard to act like none of this has actually not happened.
Spoiler
Yes,
alert, this happened in history.
spoiler alert for life. It's like, sorry if I need to spoil Oppenheimer, but the bomb gets dropped.
Went
Like, it
off.
works. Yeah, like it works. Like, I don't know if anybody was stressed out, but it works. So it's kind of the same approach with this. They're taking a fictionalization of real life, but we get to play around with some of those characters and some of those archetypes that were built up in the 80s and just kind of built basketball into what it is. And if we're
Yeah.
lucky, by the time the show ends, we'll get to see Michael Jordan.
Going straight into, we're going to be covering episode one and two. Episode one, like you said, there's a time jump there. It's 1984, and season one focused on one season only. But now we're going into what is gonna be a multiple season. How many times can I say season in a sentence? There, that it is Lakers Celtics. You're seeing them run from the Garden. You're seeing that it's White Bus. This is the actual name of the bus company with all these black
The
players
second that
on it.
happens, it's like, oh, we're back. It's like
Yeah.
they've already frozen the frame. They're already adding context, extra context that you couldn't possibly believe to be true, and it is true. Most of the time they're doing that. It is very active.
So, how did you feel about this cold opening? You said it that you guessed it correctly with the time jump, but just the cold opening, them winning, them running.
Yeah, I mean the '84 finals is one of the most iconic and legacy building for both franchises of the Celtics and Lakers. It definitely solidified both of them after both of them had their success, where you have the Minneapolis Lakers, right? I think they were the Minneapolis Lakers, and
Oh
then
yeah,
the Celtics were still the Celtics. They had their whole run before this, so now we've kind of both of them are in their infancies of the second wave of success, and the rise of Magic and Larry at the same time is key to all of it. So hopefully in this season, I want to see those two grow into their
hmm
own and become the polar opposite, yet
yeah.
so equally alpha male mentality that they both have and have that come to a head to where the season finale is. I hope if this is an 8 episode season, episode 7 has the cold open in it. We actually see the game. It ends with the speech from Pat Riley. Spoiler alert, he becomes the head coach. Spoiler alert for history. And we move on and play out the rest of the finals. And then season 3 really is the dynasty building stuff to where, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this show could go on forever. Like, there's just so
Yeah.
much content in this Lakers team and in the Celtics team at the same time to where this could be seasons. This could be years. We could run to see Phil Jackson courting Jeannie Buss. Like, spoiler alert, Jeannie Buss marries the future head coach that coached Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson. Like, there is just so much level of intrigue for basketball fans to this just to become a fantasy fictional dramata fictionalization of real life, and we just get to sit back and watch. And
Just
it's gonna
follow
be
Pat Riley all the way to Miami, like, just for
that'd be
me, for
wild.
me.
You could do it. He could be the main character of the show for real. He could carry through. I was like, you can make an argument that Pat Riley's the most influential figure in
You saw
basketball.
that stat when, Miami made it to the finals again, that 25% of basketball finals has had Pat Riley in it, either as a player, a coach, or an owner.
It's disgusting. It's a wild statistic, and it's true. Adam Brody's fantastic. Not a bad actor by any stretch. So it's like, yeah, I'd
Won an
watch this
Oscar?
guy. Yeah, won an Oscar. Like, I'd watch this guy do anything. And as much as I loved Jason Siegel's character of Paul Westhead in
Yeah.
season 1, it really seems like in season 2, in these first 2 episodes, they are leaning into this is not the right man for the job. And it is the true beginning. It opens the door for a new way of thinking that isn't just people that understand basketball, but people that know basketball. And I think people that know basketball are really appreciating this show. I think that is a very key element to where there's a lot of fantasy in this show, and I think that gives you I think HBO's found the right level of, let's
The right
say,
mix.
it's like 60%, it's like 68% real and 32% fantasy. And there's just the little bits of Ray Liotta slash Leonardo DiCaprio, Scorsese style, looking in the camera and explaining to you what's really going on in the middle of a situation with actual real conversations. Start on the first episode. I think the biggest takeaway from the first episode is the entire process of Magic Johnson facing the reality of his actions and
Yeah.
to watch him choose whether or not to have a relationship with his son, his firstborn son in this world, and the implications on what that means for his relationship with Cookie, what that means for the relationship with his father, his now former agent and manager, that it really comes to see that maybe Magic is capable of putting his ego aside when it comes
Mhm.
to real life things. And you then see some of that slip when
Yeah.
the shirts are brought to him in the locker room and it says the Magic is back. And he thinks about it for a second, and you see that little twinkle of his eyes, of the stardom, of the showtime, of the Hollywood appeal. And then he shuts it down immediately. But does he shut it down because he wants to, or does he shut it down because he feel like he needs to?
Yeah, that's one of the big things of fatherhood kind of in that first episode, because the juxtaposition, like, Kareem is also having a child, and he's able to be like, "Oh, this is my kid," and be proud and showing the picture and has the picture taped on his locker and is, like, getting congratulated by his teammates, and then you have a Magic who, like, has a baby mama and is not proud of it and almost is going to follow his agents, him to have her sign an NDA and pretend like the kid doesn't exist, and his parents knock some sense in him, goes, "No, you're gonna claim this baby." But and then you have Bus and his kids. He wants all his kids to come live with him and to be a part of the Lakers, be a part of this family business, but his boys aren't shit. It's his daughter who's knows what's up.
You can have a tennis team, Genie. And
Yeah.
shout out to Anna Kournikova in the second episode. Like the subtlest, like all-time great in her profession flex to not mention her last name. And then she's
Yeah.
dating the younger son. A real situation where
Yeah.
Genie is ready. You could tell from her word choice. She's like, she's an asset. And I was like, oh my God, like she's ready for this. They're not ready for this. And it's just going to
Maybe why
take,
she's the president of, the Lakers now?
yeah, 100%. Spoiler alert, she gets the job. I just think the way that they worked Genie in. Oh, and what's her face from the Bears in it too? Forgot about
Yeah.
that. I was like, no, 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 no. We got to get her out of here. That girl, no, she's bad news. But it's tackling all the right things in the right way
Mhm.
in setting the stone and setting the stage for the the coming wave of what the NBA is going to be. Let's remember at this point the NBA finals are still on tape delay.
Yeah.
NBA finals are not live yet. They do not have a live television contract for the NBA finals. It is on tape
It's
delay.
crazy to
It
think
is
about.
absolutely insane to think about that if you wanted to know what happened the second it happened in the NBA Finals in 1980, you would have needed to have listened to the radio or have been there. And that is
Yeah.
just absolutely baffling to think about. The subtle puts of the David Stern character in there, who's
Mhm.
eventually going to become
Who he becomes.
one of the most influential figures in the history of basketball when it comes to revolutionizing how we look at basketball players in society as more than athletes, as Greek gods of the gladiators. Like they're everything right
Yeah.
now in America. Their basketball players were not on par with baseball players or football players in the 80s. Like more people knew baseball players and football players. Hell, track athletes, tennis players. Like it just
Yeah.
was not the sport that it is now, where the NBA is truly 365 days a year, 24/7 news coverage of a league. That's hard. It's got the
Yeah.
shortest amount of time between like action happening to where the season ends, you have the draft, you then have the summer league a couple weeks later, everybody leaves for like 2 months and then they come back for training camp. It's like we got basketball going on 9 months out of the year. It's constant and none of that would have been possible without the people who were learning about in this show.
Yeah.
Truly what we're learning about and that's what I think keeps the hardcore basketball fan interested, but what keeps the casual television viewer and even the person looking for the prestige version of the broadcast is or just a show in general, camera movements,
Yeah.
acting, script, you know, choices they're making when it comes to breaking the wall, all those kinds of things. That is what draws in the outside viewer just to make a good TV show. And you're getting every basketball NBA fan on the planet. You're telling me all of Los Angeles is not watching the show. If you're a
Yeah.
Lakers fan and you're not watching the show, it's like it is literally Lakers porn. Season 1 was the perfect setup. Of course, they chose the perfect season to start with where they win. So they give you that little bit of the win, right? It's like a new hope.
Yeah.
And this is the Empire Strikes Back. This is Boston retooling. You see it in episode 1. They're at the draft and they're negotiating stuff. And it's like Red Arbacks in the background, making deals, making moves. And Jerry doesn't know. Jerry doesn't know basketball. Jerry knows
He
business,
he knows business and he knows science, and
business,
go
science, sex,
yeah.
BSS.
But going into, like, Jerry Buss, and we hold him in such high regards because of the Showtime Lakers, and kind of, like, courtside seats, Laker girls, like, dancers now
Did you
that
see
we
Ziggy
have.
Stardust in the tunnel in the last episode?
Yeah.
Some dude
Well, I
literally
mean,
looked like
Paula
Ziggy's.
Abdul, people forget that
She's
she was a
there.
Laker girl.
She's in the first season. She's like main character. It's like
Yeah.
it's like C level character, but like she
Yeah,
was in the credits. It was like as Paula
and
Abdul.
in, like, the first episode, he's wanting to raise the price to pay these athletes because he
Yeah,
doesn't
nobody was
want them to
doing that.
leave. No one was doing that
No
at
one
that
was doing
time,
that.
And you could think now, be like, do we blame Jerry Buss now for like the
No, we
inflation
thank
of
Jerry.
athletes getting paid like
No, we thank Jerry
exorbitant
Buss.
amounts?
We thank Jerry Buss because they're worth it.
Yeah, but now, like, just thinking in like another sport, like in soccer, just all the people going to Saudi Arabia for like crazy amounts of
Shout
money.
out Neymar. He's gonna get
Yeah,
500 grand every time he puts the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in a post. And Jerry's like,
yeah,
we're gonna pay these dudes not what they're worth now, but he's looking ahead.
yeah,
He's looking ahead in the sense of the CBA is going to be renegotiated, and you guys aren't ready for this. We're going to get these guys now. We're going to lock them in now. We're going to build this team. We're going to create a foundation for this team. And then before their contracts are even up, we're going to have them under contract. And then we're going to get to sign more people because we're going to get more money from all the other teams because that's how CBAs work. That is the world that Jerry foresaw before
yeah.
everybody else because he believed in his brand, he believed in his business, he believed in the future of basketball. And like, it's wild to watch it all happen. And let's just say his name,
And his
John
money man
C.
going like this every
Oh, the
time,
whole time.
every
But
single
guess
time.
what? That guy doesn't care. That guy's still getting paid. He's paying his rent. And he's right. Jerry's been right every time. And if you know the history, Jerry's going to be right time and time and time again. And he's really that's like not the aggravating part about it, but it's like, oh, he
It's
gets
the
away with
funny part.
it's the funny part because he gets away with all this crazy shit
Yeah.
and he's right.
With basically, he does not have the money to do it, but he does it anyways, and he figures it out, and then he ends up winning.
And he walks in with the cocky attitude into the draft in the first episode, and he thinks he thinks his shit smells like roses. And Red's out there making trades, actually making basketball moves to make his team better, and that just blows up his whole psyche and totally makes him rethink everything. But then it focuses him on his family, and I
Mm,
think that's important. Parallels between Jerry, Kareem, and Magic at three very different stages of fatherhood and
yeah,
maturity
yeah,
as human beings. You could argue that while Kareem and Magic are both about to welcome children into the world, Magic and Jerry are more similar maturity wise. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar might be the most mature
yeah,
human being ever to walk the face of the planet in terms of his mental fortitude and
and he's
the
been a
shit
father
he went
before too.
been a father before and knew what was going on and truly has a loving relationship with his wife. They truly are partners in life, and you can see that how she lets him meditate in the first the first
Yeah,
episode, and even the whole first season. Every time you go to Kareem's house, Cap is out there meditating and looking out over Los Angeles, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
like this is a real understanding for these two human beings on what it takes for their familiar unit to be a positive place. And I think that's going to be one of the best stories of season 2 is watching that Kareem and Magic relationship
yeah.
truly prosper into one of, if not the greatest tandems of two tall ass dudes to play basketball.
We saw it in one of my favorite episodes of the first season is Kareem coming back to like his faith and that being his like center. 'Cause, like, he was just like, "I do the 5 prayers a day, but I don't really have any meaning with it." Like, he's, like, doing what he thinks he's supposed
Right.
to, but not actually having any true meaning
And
behind
you
it
can
or
relate
trying.
that to basketball too, because
Yeah,
it's more of an idea of complacency.
yeah,
And that happens to all athletes. All successful athletes deal with what's next. How do I top the untoppable? Not to take this to soccer
and
slash
now he has a
football.
young buck coming in, and he's just like,
Right,
"Oh, now I gotta
exactly.
prove myself."
Right. So, like in the soccer football world, Manchester City just won the treble. What are you supposed to do on day one of the following season after you complete the greatest season of a team that's had in the last
Yeah,
30 plus years? Like, how do you walk in the next year and center yourself and humble yourself to be able to succeed and tackle each day in front of you? And I think
yeah,
that's where Kareem reaches a mental state in season 1 that Magic must aspire to.
Yeah.
And I think uh that's an important post, or that's a milestone that Magic will eventually see Magic reach that place. With
He's a
his
man
first
of
son,
faith too
he's
now.
a man of faith. Like, he's fully come around, and I think this show has just like so much to tackle in front
Yeah.
of it. And even as a Golden State Warriors fan, like, I love basketball. I
Yeah.
love all basketball. I do not discriminate. I do not like certain teams when I play them, but I respect the history and what they did before and how they did it. Because if you don't understand history, you can
Yeah.
never either fix it or somehow imitate it or emulate it going forward. The Lakers, Showtime, and the Celtics at this time are the perfect launching points if you're
Arguably one of the greatest rivalries in sports.
yeah. What do you need from the rest of season 2 in terms of what they've given us to be a success? Because you take a whole one season of basketball and you put it into one season. Now
Yeah.
we are going to take the 80 to 81 season to the 83 to 84 season. That's 4 seasons, and we're gonna put them into one at 4 years, we're gonna put it into
Yeah.
one season of television,
I mean,
and
we got to the
somehow
finals
we
of
finished
in
the
the
whole
second
season.
episode.
Right, so it's like, so far, we're tackling a season in 2 episodes, so at this pace, we're
Yeah.
on pace for that. We're on pace to finish that if it's 8 episodes.
I wanna see Magic's journey, which I feel we're already getting that because, and you saw little bits of it in season 1, but Magic is front facing, he's smiling, he's everything's good. "Oh,
It's
I'm at."
magic.
Yeah, he's Magic. He goes, "Oh, I'm at 90% when Pat Riley's like, "How you doing?" And you're at 50%. He's like, "No, I'm at 90,
He's like,
maybe 80."
is that why you waited for everybody else to leave before you decided to reduce your body temperature to sub-zero? And I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, like, holy shit."
And the magic like we've seen when like you're watching old videos or you're watching that again or seeing the pictures, it's smiley magic. It's magic like just being magic. And now we're seeing behind the scenes like everything that he's dealing with before
Even the injury.
even the injury.
He
Him
was
like
he was literally can we curse on here?
yes.
He was mid-coitus, all right? And she was like, "I'm sorry, your cast is rubbing and chafing my thighs. So I'm gonna
No,
hop
thank you.
off now and leave and let me know when you're back." So
Yeah.
it's like, we have you in season 1, you set this man's sexual drive as like, this man loves basketball and sex, and it is a
As much as Jerry
constant
Buss, him and Jerry Buss are
it is a constant teeter-totter in real life of which is more important, and you can argue that his basketball successes allow for more sexual successes. I hate that phrase.
yeah.
I hate that just came out of
Yeah.
my mouth. But like,
I know what you mean.
you know what I mean? And how does that how can you also be successful at basketball? And if you're able to calm that, and if he's able to mangle and wrangle that sexual drive, take that, make it a lust and love for Cookie and a
Yeah,
family
which he
and building.
has
But he's also 20 years old. He is a
in
child
LA.
in LA, in Los
And is friends with
Angeles.
Jerry Buss,
Yes, it's nuts.
who
Like,
has the keys to the Playboy Mansion.
and no one like, and even you learn in the first episode, I think the best scene of the first episode takes place between Magic's mom and Cookie. There's more to this than this. Like, and to some point, it's a little dated of like
Yeah,
standards for men. Let's be real honest. Like, the standard
100%.
she sets is like, yeah, he
My
fucked
husband
around,
also
but
had
like,
another
my son,
family.
my son's a good boy, but also
Yeah,
his dad's kind of was a piece of shit. And
too, but I stayed.
yeah, but I stayed. So, fuck it. Why not? And
Yeah,
that is a very honest, real perspective that I I know is true. Like, there's just some sense of it that you know that those two strong as fuck women got together and were like, get a hold of this.
Yeah.
Somebody else will. And we've seen it already. The season one magic having the LA girlfriend's dad become the manager, and then
Yeah.
for him to be fired, he's like, get off my porch, get off my property. I'm like, oh
And
my
his
God.
mom cursing too, which his mom, like,
Yes,
does
and
not
mom never
that was
curses.
so
And then
just
they kiss, and then Irvin looks at them and he sees love.
yeah,
He
and
sees love and protection of a child. Him. He sees
yeah,
it right in front of him. And I think the look, but like to look over as an adult and see your parents like loving and appreciating each other
mhm,
in a time where he probably doesn't believe he's capable of that as
yeah,
much as like that is just an amazing headspace to participate in the times that we're living in now. Well, here's a dude that turned out to like figure his shit out and turn into one of the most successful sports athletes turned businessmen in American history. The guy owns the Dodgers. The guy now partially owns the Commanders. Like he's on fire. Like the dude
yeah,
is he's on another level of existence. We're going to
yeah,
find that breaking point in Magic's life if he's not there yet at the end of episode 1 when he's holding his child. And in episode 2, he's lying about his health. He's not so there's still more room to grow, and I think that's the most interesting part of this show is seeing why are
him
we so
grow.
obsessed with flawed human beings, Soul? These flawed,
I
cheating fucking
mean
men, and we're
I
just gonna
mean,
watch every show about them.
in episode 1, he gets injured. The conversation that he has with his knee with the kiss that, like, his
Oh,
cast talking to him
it's iconic.
was
That's iconic.
was great, and, like, you're seeing his insecurities, him being, like so he's smiley front facing, but behind the scenes, he is upset. He has low self-esteem. He doesn't know what's gonna happen yet. What if I don't recover from this injury? And in the process of him coming back from his injury, you have him and Riley there too, where like he's not yet at 100% and he doesn't fit the system and he
Which
doesn't
they're not saying the triangle,
yeah.
but it's the triangle, folks.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's like there's these little I love the little basketball nuggets and just give us that where you show the insecurities of Paul, where like Paul Westhead is putting on a front for Coach McKinney's system to where like he thinks it's his thing, but it's not.
Yeah.
And there is going to be an evolution and an advancement in this to where like this team already won a championship. What are we going to do? The standards are set. Well, guess what? Everybody else catches up. And it's all in that first scene at the draft with Arbach at the draft, and they traded up. Perfect to show how low you can be when you're high. I think
Yeah.
that's a real thing. And it seems like Magic has at least in this show, is trying to at least be a better person. When he tells them to not put the shirts out, like, and he looks over at Kareem, and Kareem kind of gives him like you made the right choice, but you didn't fuck up at the same time look.
Yeah.
So it's not like good job. It's like you did the right thing.
He's not fitting the system. It's gonna take time for him to learn it. And you see that
Spoiler alert, he doesn't learn it.
yeah. And you see though the Lakers like doing well without him. So it's just like, oh, they're doing well without me. I'm not needed. And you see that too with like him versus Norm kind of in the second episode.
Yeah.
And you're seeing Pat Riley and Jerry West, they're wanting to bring in a new signing. They're wanting to trade Norm. They're wanting to have the big 3, which you'll see later on in basketball and other teams like the Miami Heat. But you see Westhead wanting to do something different. He's like, my team is gelling, my team is doing this. We may not even need Magic. You can
That's
kind of
why
see
he's
that.
a bad coach.
Yeah.
He's a bad coach because he isn't like Magic is a part of your
That's why
team.
Jerry West and Pat Riley, like, they're two former players that know
They
the
get it.
game.
They
Yeah.
know. They know that like this you can't force that. Like Paul
Yeah.
Westhead looks at Magic Johnson and he does not see Magic Johnson the human being. He sees 19 points a game. He sees 12
The
assists
statistics.
and 8 rebounds. And he's like, how am I going to get those 19 points, 12 assists, and 8 rebounds in my system? And
Yeah.
it's
He's trying to
destructive.
moneyball it.
He's 100%. Yes, money ball at basketball, but way more selfish. Like selfish, like extremely
Yeah.
selfish to the nth degree to where he then becomes envious of Coach McKinney, who's since taken over the Indiana Pacers head coaching job and is seeing success. And that hurts him.
And that hurts him, and him being like called a great coach, and he's just like, why am I not getting attention? And then it's shows why Pat Riley doesn't tell him about the solo trainings with Magic, about him trying to, or that Magic's not at 100% yet, because Pat Riley just knows it's gonna mess things up. And I want to ask you, how did you feel about the storytelling of episode 2 by game 1, game 2, game 3, where when they're gelling, when Cooper makes them apologize to each other and hug it out, him and Magic and Norm, they play well.
Well,
But
this is
when
gonna
Magic and Norm are upset, they don't play well.
well, this is gonna very quickly turn into like an anthology. There's gonna be 2 episode arcs per season. Spoiler alert for history. Magic Johnson at the beginning of the season, the Lakers are going to go 7-4. It's going to be like, oh, great, awesome. The Lakers are 7-4. Guess what? 4 of those wins, 4 points or less. They win 4 of those games by. So you flip that, they could be 7. They could be take 4 of them. Yeah, they could be 3-8 instead of 7-4. So it's they really buy in to the Westhead offense. They fully do it throughout the offseason. Magic wants a trade. And instead, they fire Paul Westhead and promote Pat Riley to head coach. It's just going to be a takeoff. I think the cutoff of next episode is going to be such a cliffhanger of joy and what this team is going to become under Pat Riley's tutelage. Who is playing Phil Jackson in this show? I don't know who it is, but he better be a giant. He better be 6'9", legit 6'9". I mean, legit 6'9", towering dude. He better be able to look eye to eye to Magic Johnson, and it's going to be awesome. We're watching the history of shit we've already seen. This is like World War II documentaries, but for basketball. And we're actually seeing it, and they're having fun with it instead. It's like Inglourious Bastards, but it's basketball. This show makes you think and makes you laugh at the same time. It's the perfect blend, and they're just doing a fantastic job. If
So I
the
think you and I like
cinematographer
the
of this show
show.
does not, this show is like it's just there's so many people that are so influential
But
that are tied in the family tree of this show that you can touch on. That it's just going to be, it's I'll watch
so
10 seasons of this, dude.
final thoughts.
Final thoughts. This is a show meant for people who love basketball, who appreciate television, and I am a person who loves basketball and appreciates television. And somebody sat down and said, if we could take the essence of my DNA and put it into a TV show, Colin, what would that be? It's this. This is it. It's perfect. It's the right blend of The Big Short, The Wolf of Wall Street, Any Given Sunday, and Friday Night Lights all at the same time. And it's blending all of that together under the HBO brand, giving you a bit of fantastical elements in terms of real life and parties and that stuff that we love to see in an HBO primetime drama, while also giving you sports, real life, real emotions, real relationships. It's showtime.
And on that note, we're going to end it here. I hope you guys are enjoying the show as much as we are because it's great. I love it. Like, I literally have zero bad things to say about the show. We'll see you next week to talk about episode 3. Comment down below. We'll see you next time.